Hey everyone, this is Tim Bowman with the latest episode of the Quarter Disorder Podcast, episode 0-1, where we're going to be talking all about Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 5. This episode is being recorded on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023, and in this episode, Lewis and I are going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts on the game. So I played through the first few hours so far. I actually just got the game this past Monday of this week. But Lewis actually beat the game during the first week after it came out, so he's going to be giving his full impressions after beating the game. But before we get into the show, there's a couple different ways you can subscribe to the podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We have an RSS feed, and you can also subscribe and listen to full episodes on our YouTube page. And you can also follow us on all social media platforms at Quarter Disorder Podcast. There's a couple places like Twitter and a few other social media platforms. We have different usernames because of character limits and such, but you can find all that information on quarterdisorder.com. If you go to the homepage there will be a podcast tab that has all the information about the show and links to posts for individual episodes that you can leave comments on and other type of feedback. So, a little bit of backstory on Spider-Man 2. So this is actually the third release from Insomniac Games, developing the Spider-Man franchise from Marvel. The game came out on October 20th and is exclusive to the PlayStation 5. It's a sequel to the 2018 PS4 release just called Spider-Man, and also a follow-up to the 2020 Miles Morales game that came out, which was kind of like a semi-sequel that released for the PlayStation 5. So Spider-Man 2 sold over 2.5 million copies in the first 24 hours, both retail and digital. According to Sony, they put out those numbers, and it's one of the fastest-selling PlayStation exclusives of all time. And the game does a little bit different gameplay style from the 2018 game, where in Spider-Man 2 you can play both as Peter Parker and Miles Morales as playable characters in New York City and switch between them. And they have different abilities and different costumes and unlocks and things you can do throughout the story. So for my thoughts on the game, I'm going to talk about my impressions first, and then we'll hear from Lewis. So I just have some brief thoughts since I haven't really gotten too deep in the game yet. Again, I just started playing it a few days ago on Monday. But I really love Spider-Man on the PS4, the original game in this series developed by Insomniac Games. And I think it's one of the best games for the console and one of the best, PlayStation exclusives. So far in Spider-Man 2, I probably played maybe 2 or 3 hours. At the beginning of the game, there's this huge fight with the Sandman across New York City. It kind of teaches you how to play and the mechanics and just introduces you to most of what the game is about. And after you kind of take him down, the game introduces more mechanics and side things to do in the city, like stopping crimes and taking photos. And goes pretty heavy early on into the story and setting up Kraven the Hunter coming to New York City to hunt down Spider-Man and other vigilantes. So the city of New York City in Spider-Man 2 is really massive. It's one of the first things I've noticed. The graphics are pretty amazing. It's one of the best looking games out there. Definitely one of the best looking games on PS5. And they really capture the kind of feel of the city, and it kind of really feels alive. There's a lot of stuff going on in the streets. There's tons and tons of buildings and different neighborhoods and stuff like that. So they really nailed that aspect down. And you can already tell, just from me playing the first couple hours, it's going to be a really big story-based game. So far there's been a lot of cutscenes and interactions with the characters, and the models are all great. The voice acting is great. So they really put a lot of time and effort into getting that right. So it feels like a big budget game. And it really does feel like one of the first truly next-gen games on either console of PS5 or Xbox Series X. I don't think this game could be done on PS4, but maybe it could be. But it really does feel like finally we get into like next gen type of games that's taking advantage of the PS5 hardware. And like I said, the graphics look pretty fantastic, and the cutscenes look great with the character models and things like that. So it does feel like we're finally starting to get more games designed just for these consoles rather than still relying on old hardware. So since I only played the first couple hours, I haven't got too deep into the story or a lot of the gameplay yet. But I do like really swinging around the city. It's really fun to kind of just fly around and go around New York and get to different objectives like that. It's a lot of fun. I do like the characters and stories so far of Peter Parker and is trying to figure out his life as an adult, and Miles is on his way to college soon, and he's trying to figure that out and get accepted into a school. So they're at different points in their life, but they're kind of coming together as Spider-Man and helping each other out. So Peter's going through his own issues, and then Miles has his own issues. You kind of see them from both perspectives. And I do like the combat a lot so far. It seems like there's a lot you can do with different abilities, and it's got that superhero beat 'em up combat. It's just a lot of fun so far. And the character abilities, like Miles has like electricity type moves, and so far Peter Parker has like the Dr. Octopus style spider arms that he comes out and can attack enemies with. So it's so far so good. I do like the combat. The gameplay is pretty tight, and so far they kind of nailed this out of the park, especially in the first hour, introducing that like huge fight against the Sandman. It takes you all across New York City, so that was really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely keep playing through it. Try to beat the game in the next, hopefully a couple of weeks. I know it's probably like a 25 hour game, so it's pretty lengthy. And I can already tell like I haven't really even scratched the surface after just even a couple hours. So looking forward to continuing the game, checking it out. And in a moment, I'm going to throw it to Lewis, who's going to give his full impressions after beating the game. And he beat it really quick too, so he's went through everything in the game. Beat the storyline and all that. So we're going to hear from him soon. But before I toss it to him, just want to kind of remind all the listeners of ways you can subscribe to the show. Again, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon. We have an RSS feed. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where we're going to be uploading full episodes. And again, if you go to quarterdisorder.com or quarterdisorderpodcast.com, it's going to take you to the homepage where at the top of the site, we do have a podcast hub for all episodes. We have all their social media links on there, all the ways to subscribe, so check that out. There will be a individual post for this episode, so you can leave a comment on there or even send us an email at feedback@quarterdisorderpodcast if you have any sort of comments or questions you want to ask either one of us. So I'm going to toss it to Lewis now, and let's get his thoughts on Spider-Man 2.
Hey everyone, this is Lewis, and today I will be talking about one of the best games in my opinion of 2023, which is Spider-Man 2, which is only on PS5 currently, and let's dive right into it. So this game was released on October 20th, 2023, and my GameStop had a midnight release, really, it was at 11:01 according to them, so I attended it, and a few folks there, not many. I guess digital is the way to go these days, or maybe everybody needed to go to bed to go to work the next day. So maybe that's what happened, who knows. But I attended, and I got my copy at 11:01, the 19th. So first off, let's talk about Insomniac Games, which is one of the best developers on Sony's side under the PlayStation banner. And they make a lot of great games, such as Ratchet, Resistance, Fall of Man, which ended controversially, but I always knew Spider-Man was in the right hands when this game was announced, the franchise. So it's kind of interesting. Back in 2014, they were selected whenever Marvel Games entered the negotiations with Sony Interactive Entertainment. And Microsoft ended up turning this franchise down, which is kind of bonkers because Spider-Man is arguably the most profitable superhero of all time. So just very interesting that they turned him down because they were focusing on their own IPs at that time. And, we're in 2023 and we can kind of argue that's not really the case. But, I digress. So, me and the connection to Spider-Man, as a kid, I watched the cartoon show back in the early 90s, and the show was on for 4 years, I believe. And so I always had this thing for Spider-Man. He was my first superhero that I really looked up to as a character, and even more so today than ever because as a gamer that's in his 30s, you kind of have to find balance within, not that I'm fighting crime, right? But having fun, with video games and balancing bills and, work life, social life, it's kind of hard to get in a couple of hours in gaming. But for this game, I did do it actually. I finished the game in 20 hours, which, by the way, as again, 33-year-old, it's very, very good that a game is that short because open world games kind of go for that ridiculous 50 plus hour. And it's just sometimes too much for me to beat a game and, try not to get spoiled because I decide to scroll on TikTok up and down for a bit and then something happens in the game which I'm playing and you're just kind of left disappointed because people are too busy trying to get the spoilers out there to folks. But so Venom is actually my favorite Marvel character. Top three is Venom, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. And interestingly enough, um, Insomniac Game is also working on a Wolverine game, which is probably going to come out next year or maybe in two. But seeing those characters in Insomniac hands, it's pretty. After playing this, it feels pretty good. I'm not worried. Let's just say, except for a few things I will talk about in this episode about Spider-Man 2. So the main draw to me to this game was Venom. I'm a big Venom fan, like I said. I didn't know this, but he's actually the most relatively newest villain, in the rogue gallery of villains of the Spider-Man franchise. So it's kind of crazy how popular he actually is, And Hunter, Craven the Hunter, on the TV show, he was, to me, I don't know. I mean, he was cool, but he wasn't like, he wasn't very standoutish. But in this game, Insomniac actually made me care about Craven. It was presented so good. I forgot there's actually a movie that's about to be released maybe in the next year or two, from Sony's side. So that's interesting. I'm actually wanting to go see it now because of this game. Not that it's the same people are working on that movie, that worked on this game, but they made me care about the character a lot. So whenever those two were announced on the trailer, the teaser trailer for this game a few years back, I wasn't too sure about Craven, but Venom, oh, they had me hooked right away, especially at the end of the first game, whenever you see Osborn and he has his son there. You see the symbiote, and you're just kind of like, wow, I can't wait to play this game whenever it comes out. But it's here now, so let's get into it. So since this is not Earth 616, this is actually Earth 1048. So there are major differences from the comics in that sense that the players will see and love because I enjoyed it a lot whenever they play this game. So this game follows Peter and Miles, which interesting enough is it's great. You had Peter's first game, Spider-Man, and then you had Spider-Man Miles Morales. This is Spider-Man 2, so this is their second game. So I thought that was pretty cool from Insomniac, right? So so this game with Peter, it follows the aftermath of the death of Aunt May and how it's taken a toll on his personal life. Apart from Spider-Man now, you get to see him actually be an adult and well, when you play the game, you'll kind of relate. I won't spoil anything here, but Miles though, it's more balancing his life because he's protecting the city and he's also trying to secure his future. And that's what the game really sets apart from other games that are out this year. This is the story. and whether you're a teenager, in high school, getting ready to go to college, you can relate to Miles more. And if you're a Peter Parker fan, you grew up on Peter Parker, you're just like, man, I can relate to Peter Parker so much. And interestingly enough, I think it's really good on Marvel's side that they actually were successful in making people differentiate, Spider-Man, right? So there's people that are from my generation. Spider-Man's Peter Parker. I have a 7-year-old son. He's about to turn, 8. Whenever you speak Spider-Man, he's thinking, oh, they're talking about Miles Morales. He grew up watching the Spider-Verse movies, so, and then he sees this game, which, by the way, my son saw me play this game, and he was just like, wow, this is like another movie, basically. So I think Marvel's done a good job on that front, making people think anybody can be Spider-Man, basically. I know Batman's saying like anybody can be Batman, but really nobody's asking for a Dick Grayson game or anything like that. They want a Bruce Wayne game. So I think from Marvel's end, they've done a pretty good job. So you can switch between these two characters, right? Which I think is really awesome. They play both differently. I feel like whenever you're Peter on a one-on-one scenario, you can really go at it. You can have fun. Whenever there's a crowd, it's a little bit more difficult. However, Miles can fight multiple opponents, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like he's too OP, but you can take down a whole bunch of people down. I do like playing as Miles a lot more in that sense, and I thought that maybe they could, I don't know, help Peter out with some powers. I mean, I know the symbiote's out here, you know, you get it in the game, but it's not. I don't know. I think Miles is a lot better. That's just my opinion. And traversing in the city is really awesome. There's multiple ways. The web wings. You can swing normally. Now the thing that really awed me was the fast travel. Whenever you go into the map and you can literally, once you get done with certain collecting and side quests, right? So you can literally hover over the map and you can fast travel and it's instant, no loading or nothing. I thought that was incredible and made me feel like this game is actually the first next gen game compared to other games that have come out this year so far. I haven't played Alan Wake 2, so I can't really go into that. But so far from what I played this year, I think Spider-Man is truly, it's a PlayStation 5 game. It sets itself apart, so there were some issues I actually faced during this game. My game crashed 8 times, right? And just weird bugs, like for example, and I think this is my favorite bug. Didn't by the way, it didn't kill my enjoyment of the game. I just reset it. It's not a big deal. But interestingly enough, I was swinging through the city, and I don't know why, but the frame rate just started dropping, and the cars just looked like PS2, maybe PS1-ish cars. And I landed on top of the roof of a car, and I just fell down straight through the road, sewer, and just went to the water, straight to the water. And this is how I found out Spider-Man can swim. How crazy is that, right? But again, it didn't kill my enjoyment. Um, so as I played through this game, its story, I just wanted to keep on going to see what was going to happen next with so many surprises. And, you know, this story to me is so good. I can't I can't talk about it, but it's just something you need to experience and enjoy for yourself to see like, hey, they really did a good job with this storyline that they're presenting to us. It's different from the comics, but yet familiar. If you know what I'm saying. I think if they're given more characters, I think it might be too much for them. So I'm hoping, just based on this story, Wolverine ends up being really good. But I just hope they don't get, too MCU-ish where they just kind of just like, hey, we gotta do like 8 characters in one because, games are hard to develop these days in terms of like years, being released. You're talking about an 8-year gap sometimes. But the side missions, they were very light. This is what I mean too by that. Maybe it was just too much for them. They were too focused on the main story, which I appreciate. Saves me time again, but I actually ended up playing some of these side missions. And I just want to say that it's very, very interesting that people I talk to at, friends at work, they didn't play it. And I think it's very important people play it because there are some things that are on the horizon that will eventually pay off because I'm pretty sure there'll be a third game because this game sold literally 2.5 million copies on its first day, the fastest selling PlayStation game of all time. So, if I were you, I definitely give those side missions a chance and play them. I mean, some of them are pretty difficult, in terms of like, well, for me, I don't know for you guys, but like, I won't say anything. You just need to play it. There are spoilers in that, and I will not go into that. But for me, Craven was awesome. He was presented so good, and I thought him as a villain, you know, I always knew some side characters could be more, and Insomniac did a great job with him. His voice actor was amazing. But Tony Todd as Venom was such a standout in this game that I do believe he should replace the movie version of Venom. That's how good Tony is. He's great. He's amazing. He was presented well, and he looks so awesome on screen. Venom. Um, Once you guys get to Venom, just enjoy it. He's one of to me he's one of those rare iconic comic book characters that once you see on screen, it's like it's taken for granted sometimes. I know with for the Tobey Maguire movies, we only had him for like I think it was like 15 to 20 minutes, so you didn't get to really enjoy him. It was kind of like a quick glimpse of what could be. So when those Tom Hardy movies came out, I appreciated Venom more that way. I mean, he was already my number one character, but like I got to see him on screen be, a total awesome character. So I think he should really replace the voice actor in the movies. But for me, the overall packaging of this game is must play for any Spider-Man fan, and to those who own or will own a PS5. This is the best exclusive to me this year. And there's a lot of games this year, like Mario Wonders, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. There's just so many games out that I'm just kind of happy that I was able to play this because, I was playing Starfield and I stopped playing that, and it didn't keep me engaged enough. And this game really did. I was just wanting to know what was going to happen next. And there's a lot of games that kind of fall flat in that to me. I don't know if it's because I'm a older gamer, or maybe because I love Spider-Man, I was so engaged into this, and I was a big fan of Venom. But this game really, really helped me get back into gaming. So much so, I actually started playing the MGS collection, and it's like this game really saved my gaming, you know, mojo, I guess, right? But um, it's the best Spider-Man game I've ever played, and there's a few games I never got to play, like Shattered Dimensions, I think it was called. I never played that. Played Ultimate Spider-Man, which was amazing at the time. But my very first Spider-Man game was Maximum Carnage, and just seeing Venom, because it was just seeing Venom back then and Spider-Man work together going against Carnage, on the Super Nintendo. It was LJN game. It brought a lot of memories back to me as I played this game. Just seeing how far these two characters have come in the gaming spectrum, right? With so many characters in that Maximum Carnage game, and then stuff you'll see in this game probably when if you guys decide to pick it up. But this is actually the best Spider-Man game I've ever played, legit. And with Wolverine coming from Insomniac pretty soon in the near future, I think I can fairly say I'm not worried about the game being bad. I'm just more interested in what Insomniac is going to do with the universe of 1408. So I highly recommend this game. Again, if you have a PlayStation 5, definitely get it. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, please play it. You'll appreciate the story and what Insomniac has done with the Marvel characters that they were given a chance to handle. I felt like the first game was, hey, let me prove to you I can handle Spider-Man correctly. And then this game was more, hey, let me show you what I can do with Spider-Man, So that's going to be it from me. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe to Quarter Disorder, and I want to thank Tim for giving me this platform to talk about this game. And I will see you guys down the road. Thank you.